Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my husband's ex-wife more money? I, 33 female, and my husband, 36 male, have been together for 3 years, recently married this past year, and we have a 1-year-old child together. My husband has 2 kids from a previous marriage, Zara, 16 female, and Sam, 18 male. My husband is a disabled veteran, and his child support is based on his government compensation, Social Security. Social Security determines the amount of child support his ex-wife receives per child, and her child support payments dropped in half when our son turned 18 and dropped out of high school. We had no issues with his ex-wife until we married, and now his ex-wife wants more money because my income is significantly more than my husband's. His ex-wife also wants compensation for their 18 male, who lives at home with her. We told our son Sam that he could live with us as long as he promised to work on his GED, but he refused. I currently pay for Zara's cell phone and car insurance. So am I the a-hole for not offering more money for child support? Just want to add, ex-wife worked at CVS as a pharmacy tech for years. When I married my husband, she quit her job and started part-timing as a waitress. Ex-wife and the kids live with the grandparents, and we see the kids maybe once a month due to both kids having jobs. Ex-wife does not want to go to court because she is still paying on lawyers' fees from her second marriage and custody battle, so she wants us to come to an agreement to give her more money. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Take her to court. She gave up a better-paying job to be a waitress and is trying to leech off you and your husband and expects you to pay for a legal adult kid who has made a bad choice of not continuing or even finishing his education? Woof. We recently found out that Zara is missing school, and the ex-wife texted my husband that she will have our daughter drop out of school before being taken to court by the school for failure to go to school/truancy. Our daughter drives to school, and her mom works evenings, so she's at home when our daughter is missing school. Seems like the husband needs to get CPS and law enforcement involved. Your income has nothing to do with his child support. Not the a-hole. Just need to be careful about the possibility of imputed income, depending on where you live. True, I live in Netherlands, and the income of the new partner may mean that you have to pay more alimony here, because from that moment on, you can share living costs with someone, which increases your financial capacity. Not the a-hole. She shouldn't have left her better-paying job to wait tables. Her financial situation is not your problem. Furthermore, she knows what she is asking is too ridiculous to take to court and is hoping you'll take pity on her. It's what it looks like. I hope your husband is in agreement with you. Joint finances or not, it would be coming from money you earned. And the layabout son needs to do something to better his life as well. Yeah, we are getting mixed opinions from my husband's family if we should give more money or not. My husband agrees with me. Anytime our older kids need clothes or shoes, we pay for them. We give the kids gas money. We've also helped with their car repairs. So we don't understand her logic for us giving her more money a month just because. We told the ex-wife that both kids could live with us if the financial strain was too much, and she adamantly refused. I also want to add that his ex-wife has claimed both kids on her taxes since their divorce 10 years ago. So, if both kids lived with us, she wouldn't receive child support or tax credits. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my lottery winnings with my boyfriend's nephews? Children in our country sometimes sell stuff for their schools to fund school trips, etc. I think many countries do that, so I don't need to explain more. Usually, it's around big holidays, etc., and we have a Christmas lottery, something many schools sell. My boyfriend and I have been together for 13 years, and we are happily child-free. We have good incomes and comfortable living. My boyfriend's sister and her husband also have good incomes and comfortable living. But I feel sometimes that she always tries to hint that we make more than we spend because we don't have children. Excellent deduction. And that maybe we should give more presents and stuff to her 2 sons. I don't agree. I put around 30 to 60 euros on a present. And whether it's good or bad, I don't care. I come from money as my parents had good jobs, but we learned from young age that is never the value of the present. And I had the happiest upbringing. Anyway, the sons get a couple dozens or more lotteries each to sell, and the idea is to go around the neighborhood, etc. But they're too lazy, and they make the family buy everything. And since my boyfriend and I have nothing important to spend money on, we end up buying the majority of the tickets, around 200 to 300 euros worth each occasion. It angers me a bit in the beginning, but my boyfriend seemed uncomfortable saying no, and I hate making him uncomfortable, so I said, oh well. This Christmas, I won about 150,000 euros. I was so happy because I never win stuff. But when the nephews heard this, they wanted their ticket back. I was shocked and said hell no. They called me like 50 times, and my boyfriend's sister and her sons showed up next morning to talk, then argue, then fight me. Then she asked to at least split it 50-50 with them, but I wouldn't budge. All three left in tears saying they will take me to court, and my boyfriend wants me to split or I'm being an a-hole. I usually donate 20% of my bonuses, inheritance, or any big chunk of money I get to charity. I thought I would do that and buy the boys the bicycles they were saving for, which cost around 2,500 each. I don't know why, but now I won't even buy them the bicycles. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My boyfriend is the one who pays for the tickets. He then splits the tickets. The winning ticket was one of mine. Not the a-hole. It's your money to do whatever you want with. Screw your boyfriend's family for being leeches, and screw your boyfriend for not standing up for you. Hope you should take the money and pay for the boyfriend to get therapy to start learning healthy boundaries and how to say no to family. Not the a-hole. If anyone else, more specifically a stranger, had gotten that winning ticket and not you, they probably never would have asked them to split the money, because that would be rude. But since it's their uncle's girlfriend, then apparently all of that goes out the door. You bought the tickets. The transaction was finished, so they were 100% your tickets and not theirs. So I don't see why you should have to share. Not the a-hole. Which court they were planning to take you? The court of entitlement? Court of idiots? If you decide to donate some money to charity, do it in their names. Maybe buy bicycles to kids in shelter or something. Your boyfriend should learn some boundaries. If he's fine being a doormat, that's on him. But he shouldn't expect you to be. If he really thinks you are an a-hole, then maybe he isn't the one for you. And don't forget to report them to the organizers for trying to claim ownership of tickets they sold, not the a-hole OP. Not the a-hole. Seems like over 13 years you've spent thousands on these lottery tickets, plus gifts. You've been more than generous. They have no right to the winnings, any more than the clerk at a corner shop who sells a winning ticket. As for the ultra-expensive bikes, there's no reason they need them. If they are even considering such a purchase, they're not hurting financially. I'd suspect you were told about their saving up before Christmas in hopes you'd give them a significant cash gift towards the bikes, regardless of what they then spent it on. P.S. We have the same issue with fundraising in the US. Raffle tickets, cookies, whatever the kids are supposed to sell, it ends up with the parents pushing the stuff on relatives, rather than the kids selling to neighbors like it used to be. I used to make a cash donation instead. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister and her kid out of my house because she refused to cover the damage her kid caused? My sister has been living with me for close to a year along with her 6-year-old son. She recently became homeless after what I'm gonna be nice and just call a series of bad choices. And since no one else would take her or her kid in, I decided to let them live with me until she can get back on her feet. Now, I'm a reasonable person, and I only have a few rules. Mainly, don't touch my things. Just respect my personal space and you're golden. That's not an unreasonable rule, right? Well, unfortunately, my sister just refuses to discipline her kid. Every day, it's just constant tantrums and fits. And any attempt I make to set him straight gets my sister up in arms about how he can't help it. But I try my best to bear with it, because I know these two have literally nowhere else to go. Recently as well, I finally built my own gaming PC after months of work and thousands of dollars spent, and I was beyond thrilled it came out so well. Of course, I immediately told my nephew not to touch it, and that he is under no circumstances allowed near it. He just about break everything else, so I don't think I'm being harsh here in saying I don't want him near it. I tell my sister as well to keep him away from it, but she just says I shouldn't bully him. Cut to a few days ago, and he's throwing yet another tantrum because he wants to play Minecraft on my PC. I of course tell him no, but my sister is getting on my case about how it's not fair I get to be the only one to play it. I don't have time to deal with this. I need to run errands, but I'm hoping in vain that my sister can control him for once. The actual area with my PC set up is an open room with no door. Think an office space but with figurines and such, so it's not like I can lock it off like I could do my room. Not even asking them to come with me worked, since my sister just refused and my nephew screaming and crying certainly isn't a one to deal with when shopping. Come time I return, I immediately check to see if the PC is safe. And what I find is broken glass everywhere. My monitor is on the floor and the PC tower practically in pieces. I'm beyond fuming now and confronts my sister about what happened. She doesn't even try to hide it. She just says she let him on but couldn't figure out how to launch Minecraft. And when nephew got mad he couldn't play, he had a meltdown. I of course demand she cover the costs to replace/repair. But she says it's my fault for not letting him play and that she doesn't owe me anything. By this point, I had enough and packed all of their things and told both of them to get out or else I'm calling the police. She reluctantly left before snipping, "I hope you're happy," under her breath. Over the next few days, I'm bombarded with texts and voicemails from her, calling me a bad brother and that it's my fault they're homeless. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. No, it is her fault she's homeless again. Harsh as I may sound, you set rules and boundaries in your home. Not only did she not try to abide by your requests, she override them. Your rules didn't matter to her. Your belongings didn't matter to her. Very sad. The kid shouldn't have done what he did, but it seems like he has some kind of disability or disorder, because it's not normal for a 6-year-old to completely destroy a PC. Or maybe poor parenting. My 3-year-old niece knows better than to throw a fit like that. If she's mad at you, she gets very, very quiet. I'd love to know what evil she's planning. OMG. Nope. Not the a-hole. Just FYI, cause it sounds like you don't have any other kids in your life. Your nephew didn't have a meltdown. A meltdown is a kid having big feelings they don't know what to do with, and it comes out big. Your nephew is destructive and undisciplined. Not sure how he can get through school if this is how he acts. If this isn't fixed ASAP, he's probably going to develop something like defiant oppositional disorder. You can't let kids get away with destroying things, even if it's just a toy, when they don't get their way. That sounds like what happened though. Children need to have emotional regulation modeled and taught to them. They can also learn to seek reactions from adults if they're not getting the attention they want in other ways. Not the a-hole. I'm starting to understand what some of your sister's bad decisions might have been. The rules you set up were completely reasonable, especially since you were letting her stay there as a favor. One of the most basic things she could do is keep her kid under control. She brought this entirely on herself. And, despite what she said, none of this is your fault. And she's going to continue to be homeless and whatnot until she takes responsibility for her own choices. Last story. Am I the a-hole for screwing over my sister-in-law? I, 26 female, have been married for 7 years. My husband and I were young when we got together, and as a result, I became like another kid to his parents. But that's a story for just now. Anyways, I never thought of his sister, 27 female, as anything less than my own. So when she had her kid, 2 male, I was excited. I've got my own kids, but I was happy to have a nephew. So my sister-in-law lives next door with her parents. The issue is that I've become the baby drop-off center. I need to run to the store turns into me texting her 4+ hours later trying to figure out where she is. It's always someone else's fault on why she's late. I'm in college online though and can't exactly do my work when her kid is on a sleeping schedule of 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. My kids attend school and need their sleep though they have a decent bedtime. I'll also add that I have a hard time telling people no and currently in therapy for that among other issues. Because of those reasons, when she came to me saying she had a job offer, she asked which of 2 schedules worked for me. Didn't even ask if I would be the babysitter. I told her neither did, so we agreed to a schedule where I'd watch him half the schedule and her parents would watch him the other. Usually her parents back out, but I told her that wasn't going to be able to happen. Well, her first interview/training is today. She told me days ago that her dad was watching her kid since he'd probably still be asleep. Okay, awesome. Then at 2 a.m. the day off, she messaged me and said, "You're still able to watch him tomorrow, right?" I hope so because I have no one else. I was angry and told her so. I told her I'm being taken advantage of, and letting me know last minute she wasn't having her dad watch him isn't okay. Dad isn't sick, just didn't want to. I told her how it isn't right that everyone else can say that they don't want to and it's okay because she knows I have a hard time saying no. It ended with her apologizing and begging me to keep him, but I still said no. She told me she will lose the job if she can't find a babysitter, and I told her he isn't my kid, so it's not my issue. My mother-in-law then messaged me telling me she's going to straighten me out and that if my nephew is such a bother, then I just won't keep him anymore. She also told me I'm an awful person for screwing over my sister, and she expected more from me. My husband agrees with me but won't say anything to his mom and sister. Am I the a-hole? Should I watch him anyways? Not the a-hole. Both you and your husband need to stand your ground. You aren't responsible for sister-in-law's kid. If your mother-in-law is so upset, why doesn't she look after her grandchild? Both you and your husband need to start setting some boundaries with sister-in-law. Otherwise, they will continue to take advantage of you not being able to say no. Your kids and your family come first. Added to say that your husband is the a-hole for not backing you up here. He may agree with you, but him keeping quiet is just as bad. He needs to grow a backbone and speak to his sister and parents. Agreed. If Opie's husband doesn't talk to her parents, they will continue to take advantage of Opie's inability to speak. This will not end Opie's problem. Massive not the a-hole. She's taking advantage of you, pure and simple. And your mother-in-law's behavior is also appalling. Why doesn't she watch him? Please keep standing up for yourself. Mother-in-law's one of those I shouldn't have to, but you should people. You are not going to watch him anymore? Okay, mother-in-law, you can do it then and not back out. Straighten me out? Now, lady, I am straight a line about my personal space and not watching your grandkids. Awful person? Cool. Don't call or message me anymore if I am awful. Not the a-hole. We've been at each other's throats for some serious overstepping she did a few months ago. Finally made peace, though not made up, as I'll never forgive her for what she did. And now she's gonna straighten me out because she's sick of me thinking I'm better than everyone. Lol. This isn't the first time she's said that. It lasted a day before I had my nephew again. Stand your ground and polish your spine. Do not take your nephew again. As for your mother-in-law, her language toward you more than justifies cutting her off for a while and not allowing her to be around your child. She freaking threatened you. My 23 male horrible family contacted me after years because they wanted me to help them. Let me start this by saying that this entire situation was overwhelming for many different reasons. When I grew up, my parents and my sister treated me badly through my entire childhood. Because while my sister, who is 2 years older than me, was an intended child, I wasn't. And they exactly treated me this way while they spoiled her rotten. Going into details about my childhood is something I want to avoid, but I guess it doesn't hurt me to give you an impression. My parents treated me more like a slave, as I had to do all of the chores when I came home from school, and I slept in the guest room on a dirty couch, while my sister had a big room with a big bed. They even invented a 2-class meal system for me and my sister, where I was only allowed to eat, let alone sit down at a table when they and her were done eating. Meaning, basically, I ate their leftovers. They were also physically harming me, as my mom and dad loved to beat me whenever something from the chores wasn't done correctly. My sister was no better. I wasn't a sibling to her, more like a housemaid. She loved bullying me at school and at home. She even told lies to the only friends I had so they wouldn't like me anymore. She told them I was talking bad behind their backs. Any explanation attempt failed, so for the most part, I was alone during my childhood that was filled with tears and pain. When I turned 18, they kicked me out of the house and they probably didn't expect what came next. I completely cut any contact and built my life for myself. I found my first real job, and from that point on, my life only went forward, and I never wanted to look back ever again. My life got better and better, as I then got a much better paying job. Now, I was able to afford an apartment. My life went well, and I became a high supervisor in the company I worked for. Remembering my parents' jobs, I probably make more each month than both of them combined. And since I lived alone in a quite modest apartment, my income far exceeded my financial expenses, meaning that I was able to save a lot of money. Before I explain what happened now, I need to mention that my sister had a condition from an early age. As I am not an immature a-hole, I won't go into any details about it. This is a matter that only concerns my sister and her doctor, and maybe my parents. I respect that and don't interfere, but I still have to mention it for this story to make sense. Okay, fast forward to a few months ago. I received a call from an unknown number. I haven't talked to them for quite a while, so I didn't recognize the voice at first. But it was my mother. When I realized who it was, I just wanted to hang up, but I think she saw that coming and begged me to not hang up and let her explain why she called. She slowly started to apologize and ask if we could meet. She said I don't have to talk to her. She just wants me to listen to what she has to say. I honestly still don't know how she found out my phone number. Whatever. I agreed since I had 2 weeks off from my work anyway, and honestly, she's really good at persuading people. Besides that, I had a plan. Well, we agreed to meet at a local cafe the next week, and when they came, I was surprised to see my father there too. When they saw me, both of them smiled at me widely and hugged me tight. I pushed them away and told them I'm not comfortable with this, and they apologized immediately. This was strange, really strange. They never behaved this way towards me, and I felt something was off, and I asked them to tell me why they want to talk to me. The next hour was them explaining how sorry they are, and how deeply they regret treating me the way they did. It was so awkward, but then they finally got to the point. My mom explained that my sister still lived with them and that her condition got way worse. She needs a specific surgery that would help her, but her health care is so expensive for them that they cannot afford it while having to deal with the other expenses. And the longer they wait, her condition would get worse, and it would get more expensive. What they basically told me was they were in a financial downward spiral. They told me that their insurance company refuses to cover the surgery, so they have to find another solution. They told me that they saw a photo of a company meeting at my company on Facebook that a coworker had shared, and I also was on the photo, so they figured that I was now successful. Honestly, I don't like that word. It sounds so snobby. Then said they know they have no right to ask me for this, but they asked if I could help them financially. I stayed quiet the whole time, and when they were done explaining, I asked them to meet my sister. Surprisingly, she was in a hospital, and that is also why she couldn't come too. She had a separate room, and when she saw me, she also smiled with delight. You guys understand why I still think this was super awkward and weird, right? However, we talked a bit, and I asked her and my parents why I should help them. I wanted to confront all of them at the same time. I just talked and released all the suppressed emotions at once. I told every one of them how much they hurt me over the years and all the horrible things they did to me. I also knew that I had the power of their fate in my hands now. When I was done with everything, I just left the room without looking back. And you can't imagine how good I felt getting all of this off my chest. And then I decided to actually play the power move. I did something that probably none of them expected. Yes, I actually paid for surgery. A surgery that could possibly make her condition stable for a very long time. I could have decided right there and then to never look back and just let her rot. But instead, I decided to help them. I think that this was way more powerful. I also knew that this would probably make them feel way more guilty and regretful for what they did to me. I had seen Schindler's List a few weeks before all of that happened. I'm not lying when I say that a famous quote from Oskar Schindler inspired me to do this. That power is when we have every justification to kill and we don't. I asked a young doctor to go into their room now and tell them that the surgery would be paid. I then left the hospital and drove home. My sister texted me and said that she's so thankful that I did this for her. That she feels so horrible for treating me how she had treated me, blah blah blah. Where are we? In a drama series? The same texts also came from my parents. By the way, the surgery went well. I feel in peace with myself. I feel good. Till today, they often text me and ask if we could meet. What an interesting turn of events. Edit. For those who don't understand the power move, if I would have just left my sister to rot in her hospital bed, I wouldn't be any better than them. Me paying proves I will always be the better person. I know who I am, and I know that helping her was the right thing to do, even if some of you might not agree. Because even after all the trauma and pain they inflicted on me, I still am a good person who was able to keep his humanity. And like them. If this makes you think they won, then I don't know what to tell you. And guys, don't need to worry. I'm going to block them soon, as I'm not ready to reconcile in the near future. I just want to see how hard they're gonna try to get my attention again. Now for the top comments. You do know that unless you block them, they will keep making demands and ask for money. Who said I'm gonna give it to them? You already did, OP. But then if it helps you on your path to healing, then why not? Nope, I didn't pay for the surgery because they demanded it, but to prove that I am better than they ever will be. I don't feel the need to treat people like trash. Brace yourself for the many surgeries, or things they're gonna ask you for from now on. If you think that they feel more guilty or whatever, you are wrong. Now they think you're free game, and would mooch off you because you are a good person who still craves his family's attention. If you think this is the end, you are so wrong. The surgery was a real thing. I made sure it was. and they haven't asked for anything in the last months. They only asked for me to meet them, and I told them they won't get anything more from me. Next story. My pregnant ex keeps trying to move into my apartment, plus many updates. Original post. This is my friend's story that I'm posting for him because he doesn't have an account and wants people to hear about this. Also, for convenience sake, I'm going to write this in first-person point of view because pronouns are hard to keep up with. So I, 21 male, have an ex, Angelica, 20 female. Angelica and I had an on and off relationship since we were about 15, but got serious when COVID hit and I had to move back to my hometown. We got an apartment together, and very soon after, she started spending a lot of time with her cousin. Long story short, she's boning her fake cousin, and we break up. We've been broken up 9 months at this point. For 7 of those months, her phone has been on my phone bill, and she owes me over $500. Fine, whatever. I'll never see that $500, and she always makes excuses to pay me back. That's life. My own fault for letting her keep using me as a cash cow. She also took my car when we broke up, and I let her because I was too afraid she would try to take my apartment too. Anyway, it's 9 months past our breakup. I get a message. Hey, I'm pregnant. I'm on my way home from work, so I don't respond. That is 9 months past being my problem. It is not my baby. She messages me again. My boyfriend, the one she cheated on me with, and I have nowhere to stay. Still, 9 months past my problem. Angelica has never worked a day in her life. She lives off the disability check from her boyfriend and spends 99% of it on weed and fast food. She never paid rent and is documented to never pay rent. Anyway, she tells me, my name is still on the lease. We're going to move in September. I tell her, your name is not on the lease. It was renewed last month and I took your name off. I'm sorry. She messages me calling me an a-hole and saying she's moving in because she has nowhere for her baby and 3 dogs to stay. Mind you, my apartment is more like a studio and barely fits me, let alone 2 other people and 3 dogs. I tell her it's not happening. I'm moving out of town soon anyway. Also to come pick up her things that she's left at my apartment for 9 months. She says no, and that if I throw it away, she's going to press charges. I tell her it doesn't matter, because when I move, I'm throwing it away. She later called my landlord and told him I was planning to move out. I got upset at this and told her I ran the numbers on a car as it's still in my name. Get the car out of my name now, or I'm repossessing it, or she can leave me the heck alone. She started bawling on a call asking how could I do this to her and her unborn child, and I was condemning her and her child to be homeless. She also still has a firearm in my name that I told her to give back or I'm calling the cops. I'm really considering repossessing the car since it was mine from the start and is still in my name. She doesn't deserve to get a free car handed to her. She needs to wake up. She keeps saying she needs a place to stay, that I'm ruining her and her baby's life. It's literally my apartment that she has never once paid rent on. I don't know how she thinks she's entitled to just live in my apartment with the guy she cheated on me with, and 3 dogs. I hope the baby ends up okay. It's not his fault its mother is a spoiled brat. But I also hope being homeless and carless wakes her the heck up. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Dude, your friend needs to file several police reports, like yesterday. First and foremost, for the firearm that she has in her possession that's registered in his name. If he hasn't reported it stolen and she uses it in any kind of crime, he's gonna get charges on him for not keeping track of it at the very least. And the car. Who has the title? Did he sign it over to her? If not, that needs to be reported stolen as well. Yep, this dude's life is about to get freaking wrecked. OP needs to sit down with him and write it all down in a to-do list and check off every one of those boxes from most important to last. The ex can really mess his life up. Granted, she isn't smart, but could easily Google a how-to. Yes, and the list as follows. 1. Call the police and report the car is stolen. 2. Ditto and report the weapon as stolen. 3. Get her off the phone plan if he hasn't already. 4. File a small claims court case for the $500. 5. Make sure all paperwork for the dog comes back to you alone. 6. Get a restraining order or stay-away order of protection from your local court. Use the stolen firearm and car and threats against your home and pet as the reasons. 7. Sit back and watch your world burn. Your friend is a doormat and really dumb. That's what I've been telling him too. Why hasn't he canceled the phone? $500? Why let it get that far? Poor sap. I hope she doesn't ruin him for the good women out there. You need to ditch the friend. He's going to drag you down with him. Nah, we don't live near each other. Very limited contact except over the phone. He's just a really nice guy, but also stupid and a doormat. Thanks though. Now for the mini updates. My friend said his ex is coming to pick up her stuff tomorrow and return the weapon. If he gets shot, I'll let you guys know, I guess. Update 2. Her and her boyfriend, the fake cousin, came to my friend's apartment, returned a gun, and picked up her stuff. Her boyfriend then proceeded to wave his own firearm around and demand to be put back on the lease. Not how that works. My friend called the cops, and they booked it out of there before the cops arrived. I'm not sure about the rest. Also, no response back from him, so I don't know at this point. Alright, final update. Phone is no longer on the phone bill, her stuff is out of his apartment, his gun is returned, dog is in his possession, still no car. He said it's not worth it at this point. My friend asked for no charges, so I doubt anything will happen. He said he's cutting her out of his life and going no contact. I'm personally upset about the car, but nothing to do about it now. Last story. I ghosted my ex 10 months ago and I couldn't be more proud of myself. My ex cheated, lied, and had a baby on me. We were supposed to get married and moved in this year. I won't go into too much details because it is in the past now, but the relationship became very toxic. And I've been hiding since then. I think he was used to me always taking him back after being nasty. I didn't know he was cheating or had a baby until we broke up. Even had nudes of a mutual friend. I was too nice. The good girl. I'm not perfect, but I saw myself totally become unrecognizable in this relationship. My mother would even beg me to get out. Anyway, one day he just crossed the line. The usual routine would be that he'd call me after work to discuss the incident, gaslight me, make it all my fault, and I'd say sorry if I wasn't at his place. So on that very day, I kept quiet as normal while he screamed at me in front of his brother and degraded me. I said, okay, thank you. Blocked, deleted him, and changed my number immediately. Ghosted 99% of our mutual friends too. I just cut off the other 1% recently too, for being gossips. I thought I wouldn't last this long. He was expecting me to be like the other women who outed him once he was cheating me on with. Lol. Nope. Not a word or explanation. I know that surprised the heck out of his friends too. They wanted me to be the crazy girlfriend. One of them even told me they were surprised by how calm I handled this. But I couldn't waste my energy on such rubbish and I needed therapy. Anyway, time has gone by so quickly. I've spent most of this year in my flat crying my eyes out because I truly loved him. But I'm ready for 2023 now. No turning back. Say no to toxic people and friends. Wow, that's amazing. You should be proud of your strength. Well done. And you've handled that a-hole with class. Thank you so much. That means a lot. He done me really dirty. And I know he was expecting me to blast him like his other girls. But I just couldn't reduce myself to that. Besides leaving him, not playing his game is what I'm most proud of. Great. He isn't worth your time. You will find someone who deserves you and will treat you the way you deserve to be treated. Thank you. Has he tried to come by or contact you in any other way? Or is he seemingly accepting you blocking him? Good for you. He didn't even try once. It hurt initially, but told me everything I needed to know about him. He could have used so many methods to contact me. Didn't try once. I can't believe I fell in love with such a person. Very eye-opening. He has already moved on. And it's not even with a pregnant woman last I heard. Update. I-33 female read my husband's 37 journal, and in it he says that he hates me and hopes I die. Original post. My husband has kept a semi-regular journal throughout our 4-year relationship. He does not keep it hidden, and up until now I've always respected his privacy. We had a heated conversation and my gut told me to read it. So after we left for work, I did. He wrote several times that he hates me, and at one point he said when I was sick, he hoped I would die. When I read those words, I packed up me and our baby and went to a friend's where I'm staying now. I took pictures of all the pages. I told him I just need some space to cool off after our conversation and I will be home soon. I booked with my therapist and contacted a lawyer. We had a rough patch recently that lasted about 2 weeks. It was a dark time, but we pulled through. There was no violence, no moments where I was afraid of him. just sincere conversations about difficult feelings. The notes of hatred correspond with that rough patch. The rest of the journal is tame and reflects the men I know and love, mostly little self-pep talks around work and family stuff, goals, habit tracking. He has sent me several warm messages since I left. He says he's glad I'm taking space for myself, that he looks forward to reconnecting when I come home, that it's okay to have little hiccups, and that he loves me, etc. I was sure our relationship was over the moment I read that he hates me, or even the moment I felt the need to violate his privacy. But the warm messages and the rest of the journal have me wavering a little. I understand the need to blow off steam when things are tense, and journaling is a healthy way to do that. But never in even our darkest moments have I fantasized about his death. Splitting up maybe, but this feels so sinister. I don't know how I could ever feel safe around him again. Is this just healthy venting and I'm overreacting here? Has anyone else had similar thoughts about his spouse that they then got over? Or is this a man I need to protect myself and my baby from? Edit to add context. The rough patch was about his feelings for another woman. He didn't cheat, but his friendship with her makes me uncomfortable. The part of the journal where he says he hates me was written as a love letter to her. He says he thinks about me dying and being replaced. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. He wishes you dead? And no, you are not overreacting. That is how he feels about you. All the other is an act. Girl, check if he has taken life insurance on your name with him as a beneficiary. Especially because they're fighting over the fact that he has feelings for another woman. Not a good combination of factors. Yeah, I don't want to wind up on the wrong end of a podcast. I would be genuinely scared if I knew my husband had thought of those thoughts, and then gone to the effort of writing them down. I don't think it's safe for you and your baby to stay with him, especially if mere weeks ago he was wanting to replace you with another woman he has feelings for, and was hoping you would die so he can move on with her easily. That's horrifying. If he wanted to be with someone else rather than you, the normal thing to write in a journal would be about leaving you amicably and then seeing the other woman, and feeling sad about leaving the mother of his child. Wanting you dead instead is a giant, massive red flag. And if I was in your shoes, I don't think I could ever trust him again. I'm married 17 years and I've never wished my spouse would die. Like what? Does he know you've seen this? He just left it out like he wanted you to see it. And you are the mother of his child. He doesn't know I've seen it. He has always left it out. This is really freaking scary. He didn't even bother hiding all that vitriol where you could never find it. He left it right out in the open, almost like he wanted you to see it. Please do not be swayed by those sweet little stupid texts. I'd always have someone with you if you're going to be in the house with him. I really don't want to see you on the news. Mini update. Thank you so much for all the advice and words of encouragement. Some of it was tough to read, but still deeply appreciated. Wanted to do an update because a lot of people were concerned for my safety. I took a commenter's advice and sent the pictures to a trusted friend. She pointed out that a passage I initially read as, "Every day I'd think about telling her," actually very clearly says, "killing her." I guess my brain couldn't comprehend that at first. I received a ton of helpful perspective and support, but that comment in particular might have saved my life. After I digested that, I called the crisis line and they were quite helpful in talking me through the shock. They also put me in touch with a center that's helping me get more affordable legal help. Bought some more time for my husband. Told him I'm enjoying getting out of town and I'd like to stay an extra night or two. I have therapy tomorrow and an appointment with a social worker to make a safety plan. I feel like I have a good crew of family, friends, and professionals supporting me. Absolutely zero regrets now about reading his journal. My gut told me something was off, but I couldn't have imagined a worst-case scenario as bad as this. I'm so glad the inner alarm bells were louder than my conscience this time. Nothing about this marriage is worth risking my life to salvage. Now for the full update. Just want to say a huge thank you to this community for helping me through a challenging time. Your comments and messages have been such a comfort, and I'm so touched by the kindness of internet strangers. At the suggestion of the social worker, I reported this journal to the local police, and that was unsurprisingly a 1 out of 10 experience. The officer I spoke to chided me for reading his journal, spoke about his reasonable expectation of privacy, and basically threatened to tell my husband I had reported him. I had to firmly advocate for myself and stress that I was afraid for my life. It was an awful conversation, but now there is at least a record which includes photos of the journal. The family lawyer I spoke with advised me to file a protection order right away. The order will ban him from all contact with me and our child, bar him from our residence, my workplace, and any other places I request. He would then have to prove to a judge that he is a fit parent to be able to see his daughter again. And then we would go to mediation to try and agree on what visitation would look like. Another wrench in this situation is that we own a business together. I have an appointment with another lawyer this week to discuss what my options are there. The business was my idea. I'm confident I can run it without him, and I want to. But it's put a lot of time into it, and it's the main source of income for both of us right now. It's a good money maker, and I'm worried he'd fight me tooth and nail on this. We take turns going in, so I went as usual on Saturday with a friend and a baseball bat. I continued my act of intending to reconcile, doing video calls with a baby, etc. While I was at our workplace, I found another journal. Page after page love letters to this other woman going back months. The progression from "I liked seeing you at a grocery store" to "I drove past your house today" was wild. He writes about how he's deeply in love with her, can't wait to marry her, etc. He wrote about every interaction he's ever had with her, and the poor woman seems completely innocent and oblivious. Even what he perceived as flirting seems like basic politeness. He mentions a few other times that he wants me to die. The most recent entry was from a day before. He writes to her that he thinks I might be breaking up with him, but that's fine because he never liked me that much anyway. If he's upset about anything, it's just about losing the house and how the breakup will be perceived by our friends and community. Curious if people think I should warn the other woman. It's my instinct not to, at least not before the ink dries in our impending paperwork. I was already concerned about how he might react to being served with a protection order. Most worried that he might try to sabotage our business or trash the house. Given how preoccupied he seems to be with his public image, I made a plan to confront him about the journals and use the protection order as leverage. Here's how it went down. I left the journal and my baby with my friend and went to our house with 2 trusted male friends and a baseball bat. They waited on our porch. I told my husband that if they heard anything louder than a speaking voice, they would come in with a bat. I told him I had to tell him something he wouldn't like to hear, and he needed to know that I had already taken steps to protect myself. I told him I had read the journals, specifically what he said about wanting me to die and thinking every day about ending me. I said I'd taken photos, that they are backed up, and a trusted source also has copies. That I also have the original copy of the journal full of love letters. I wondered until this moment if he had intended for me to find them, but he was obviously blindsided. He tried to say it was just venting, but I told him I would not be taking any chances or entertaining anything he has to say about it. That after reading what I read, I will never trust him or feel safe around him ever again. I told him that no one that knows him knows about this yet. The men on the porch just know that I'm breaking up with him and need support. This was true, aside from the friend that I called to stay with and the other friend I sent the photos to who lives on the other side of the country. I said I'm willing to protect his reputation here if he cooperates with me. I told him that I don't even have to ruin his chances with the other woman, but I can. I said that he can either do what I need to feel safe, or I can have that safety court ordered. He asked what I wanted, and I said I wanted him to give up the business. We'll sort out the details after I speak to the other lawyer, but for now I want his keys and I'll be changing the passwords and everything. He didn't put up any kind of fight. He didn't want to hear anything about what it would look like to go through the courts. He didn't ask about our baby. He just calmly got up and got the keys and asked if I wanted anything else. I told him that any communication with me should be about separation logistics only, like arranging a time for me to collect the rest of my things. Since then, he has blowing up my phone saying I know his heart, let's walk back from the edge, let's talk to a therapist, his sorry's words hurt me, etc. Each time, I just tell him he's crossing my boundaries, and he backs off. He apparently told his mom and sister everything and they're supporting him in getting help. He's been cooperative so far. He's interviewing for a new job, seeing a therapist, and updating me on his movements, though I didn't ask for this. I've temporarily moved in with my parents. My commute to work is longer, but I have help with baby and home-cooked dinners. Starting to settle into new routines, doing so much therapy and yoga. I inherited a small cabin before my husband and I met. It is currently being renovated, and the original plan was to move in there with my husband and baby when it's done. The cabin is actually in my mother's name, because she's never trusted my husband and wanted me to shield it from him in case of a divorce. Thank you, Mom. So, I will have a permanent home for me and baby very soon. The dust still needs to settle, and it could get worse before it gets better, but I'm optimistic at this point. I'm confident I'm going to come out the other side of this as a badass single mother with an incredible child, a thriving business, and an adorable little home. Honestly, the thought of having all those things on my own without my husband is so freeing. I've got a great village supporting me. Thank you all so much for being part of it. I am so thankful to read this. I've been thinking about you the last 2 days. So happy you advocated for yourself, took the correct measures, and didn't accept anything less than what you deserve in this life. The road ahead isn't ever as long as we think it is, and it's good you left and are able to heal and move forward. Thanks for keeping me in your thoughts. He doesn't care about his child. That is what's most shocking to me. He was always such an attentive father, but he's not fighting for her at all. I'd love to know exactly why Opie's mother didn't trust the husband. What did she see in him? Sometimes it's just your gut. My stepsister had a boyfriend that eventually was found to be on several hookup sites and such. He never was violent, but gave off stalker vibes when she eventually broke up with him. Went so far that I was escorting her when she was meeting people because he would show up at her apartment. Separate from each other, my mother, I, and even my grandmother, who had met my stepsister once and had no contact to her at all, just had this bad gut feeling starting before he was found in those sites when thinking of her. Gut feelings are weird, man. My mom once told me regarding my now ex-husband but then fiancé that he seems like the kind of guy that would just up and unalive his family one night. And everyone would say, "Holy crap," whenever saw that coming. It was just a specific and jarring comment. My ex-husband honestly seemed so sweet and innocent. When things started going downhill, he started stalking me, physically intimidating me, cornering me and towering over me. Told me he'll ensure I'm destitute when this is all done. He literally flipped to a different guy, and I think my mom saw something I didn't. I had a boyfriend sleepover when I lived at my mom's, and she didn't sleep all night. He was in my bed, I was on a couch. She was strict about sharing. It was her first time meeting him. I commented that I couldn't understand why she had an issue, when she never had an issue sleeping when I'd had past boyfriends sleep over on a couch. Turned out, he was emotionally abusive, and she sensed that something wasn't right about him at the first meeting. Sometimes people outside a relationship pick up a feeling, a vibe, an off-comment that those who are in a relationship can't see until later on. Last story. I still can't believe how my boyfriend changed since we discovered that I was pregnant. So me and my boyfriend have been together for 7 years and we are living together since 5. For 3 years, my boyfriend was never a sweet, romantic, and caring person with me. I still can't remember one romantic or caring thing he did for me, and I thought a lot during this 3 years of leaving him or not, because all he was doing was just living off his parents' money, drinking, watching football on the TV, and casually remembering that I too exist, and talking with me. Trust me when I say that after 3 years like this, I was having enough and was thinking to leave him, because I want a man, and not an amoeba that only remember about me for meals, watching TV with him at d***s. But then, out of the blue, he changed, and I still can't believe that he's the same. His parents unfortunately died 4 years ago, and just a week after the funeral, I found out that I was pregnant. I was extremely in doubt of telling him or just terminate, because a man like him wouldn't be better with a child. But then he found out my positive pregnancy test and told me that he was super happy while I was thinking about what to do. Since the day after, he completely changed. He started to be caring, sweet, romantic, quit drinking, and started to take good care of me and himself. So after 2 weeks of his change, somehow I decided to give him a one last chance to prove that he was seriously changed. But I admit that I was extremely skeptical. I didn't believe him at first, because to me, it was impossible that an amoeba like him could change seriously, and even when I was pregnant. But trust me, he completely changed. During my pregnancy, he became another man. He started helping me with dressing, putting on shoes, making me craving meals, and this were the first times he was cooking. And when the time came, he even asked to be in the room with me to watch the birth of our child, and I accepted it. This wasn't just a phase, because when our daughter was born, he still continued to act caring and sweet with me and with our daughter. He always made me feel loved, secure, and finally special. The other important things he did were getting in shape, returning to the university to take his dream degree while working to maintain us. So now he has his degree. Our daughter came to his big day and even yelled, "Daddy!" making me cry like a baby, haha, and found a pretty good job since a few months. I still can't believe that he is the man that 4 years ago was an amoeba, and now he became the best boyfriend and dad that I can dream. And he's spending a lot of time with our daughter, and they created a special bond, leaving me stunned. And another thing to add is that 2 weeks ago he asked me to marry him, and seeing his drastic change made me say yes. Even his friends, my friends, and my family are still in shock and disbelief with his drastic change. So yeah, the situation is this, and sincerely I'm still in shock that he is the same guy 4 years ago. But somehow and for some reasons that I don't know, he is totally another man, and I can't even think of someone better. P.S. He quit drinking and now 4 years since his last drink. Now for the comments. Good for you. Sounds like your family is important to him enough that he made major changes. I wish you much happiness in your future. What a wonderful story. I was honestly expecting the exact opposite when I read the title, and I'm so happy to see that I was wrong. Congratulations on your daughter and marriage. Family deaths can lead to lots of serious reflection. He probably was already doing a lot of soul searching from their passing, and then you told him you were pregnant and he stepped up. Quitting drinking was a huge step. That alone probably led to a huge change. Congrats. Sounds like my dad. He liked drinking and fighting, lol, before my older sister was born. After she was born, he just stopped. Hasn't been drinking since. Just before I was born, he found his high-end job. That is after they struggled financially because they were so young when they had my sister. He built a house with a garage for us when I was 4. Now they've been together for 43 years. People can change. And I'm so happy that is the case for your boyfriend. Wish you all the best.